First of all, I'd like to thank everybody that left already, because I didn't want to talk to them anyway. So. this is the crowd I want to talk to. Thank you. So it's 1941, December 7th. My grandpa had been in the U.S. Navy for about 5 years now. And he was stationed on a ship called the USS Vestal at a place called Pearl Harbor. And Sunday morning, he had plans. It was his chance to get off the ship and go ashore. And to be able to go ashore, you needed what's called a Liberty card. And so he had his Liberty card. He went to the officer on the deck, and he showed him the Liberty card and was able to go down the gangway to the Liberty boat to go ashore. Well, as he was getting his Liberty card, ready to put it away, the wind caught it. And it fell in the water. Well, it didn't land like a normal piece of paper you think would, like landing on the water and floating so we could just pick it up. No, it happened to land on the edge, sunk in the water, and disappeared immediately. And, you know, it was a little unexpected. Then the officer on deck called him back and said, Coray, you got to get back up here. You don't have your Liberty card, you can't go. And I can just imagine my grandpa's frustration. Like, what? It was right there. You just saw it. No, get back on the ship. So as he's walking down the gangway to get back on the ship, he's frustrated. Have you ever had that happen? That something unexpected happens and it messes up your plans? And it feels like, what? This isn't what I wanted. And the crazy thing is, my grandpa losing his Liberty card probably saved his life that day. Because he got back up on the ship, went down into the quarters to change his uniform, and as he got back up on deck, he saw the first of the Japanese planes flying and launching torpedoes directed at the USS Helena and USS Holder. The alarm for general quarters sounded, every man to your battle stations. This is real. My grandpa's job was down at the bottom of the ship as an ammunition passer. So he's down there passing up the ammunition up to the one little gun they had on their tiny repair ship, and he hears the motor of a torpedo coming directly at their hull. And it misses him. They weren't aiming at the little repair ship, the Vestal. They were aiming at the much larger battleship right next to it, the USS Arizona. And it was a direct hit. About the same time, a larger bomb dropped from above on the Arizona, fell through several of the decks, and exploded in one of the main ammunition banks of the Arizona, literally ripping that ship in half. The force of the explosion hit all the men on the deck and blew them overboard into the harbor, and it included the commander of the Vestal, Commander Cassin. So now what do you do? By now, the Vestal had been hit as well and was starting to sink. The commander had been thrown overboard. The lieutenant commander is now in charge. He says, okay, our ship's sinking, we're getting shot at, there's chaos, and it's hopeless. Let's give the order for abandon ship, every man for himself. You know anybody in your life that feels like that right now? It's hopeless. You know, addiction, depression, eating disorders, there's all sorts of things going on in our world right now. And it hits every family. Maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's one of your kids. Maybe it's you. I know I've been there. I know what that feels like. So as the men start jumping overboard, this man appears up on the deck. He's totally soaking wet, covered in oil, and he stops one of the sailors that's running by and says, "Where do you think you're going?" "Sir, we were given the order to abandon ship." He says, "No, you're not. Our ship hasn't sunk yet. Every man back to your battle stations. We're getting this ship underway." Who's in command of your ship right now? Who do you want in command of your ship? Are you listening to that voice that says, you know what, it's hopeless, just give up? Or will you listen to that voice that says, there is still hope? ship hasn't sunk yet. Keep going, keep trying. I think Commander Young knew something that we so often forget in the chaos of life. He was a leader that remembered the things that really matter. So we said, okay, we're getting underway. We got to go. Well, the engine wasn't working right. The steering mechanism was broken. There wasn't a whole lot that they really could do. He said, well, let's call for some help. They got some tugboats. Turned them around in the right position. And he said, okay, we're going to run this ship aground so it doesn't sink in the bottom of this harbor. We need to do whatever we can to stay afloat. What did he know we didn't know? There were other ships in that fleet that were much worse off than they were. One of them being the USS Oklahoma. It had been hit in a way that it was beginning to turn over, and there were men trapped inside the hull. Well, the Vestal was a repair ship. They had the equipment and the men and the knowledge available to go and help rescue the men that were trapped inside, pounding on the hull with wrenches so they knew where they were. And the Vestal was available to help. So when you get in those moments where it feels like, you know what, it's hopeless, everything's, let's give up, abandon ship. Remember the words of this classic poem that I love. Out of the night that covers me in black as the pit from pole to pole, I think whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears, looms but the horror of the shade. And yet the menace of the years finds and will find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. And so as we talk about addiction, depression, whatever is going on in your life, I want to share with you some of the principles that I've learned. That there is hope. There is a captain calling to you that says, hey, I'm not giving up on you yet. Let's do something wherever you're at. No matter how battered and beat up your ship is, you can do something. There's others out there that need you. And they're depending